What are the effects of harmonics on music? This question comes to us from Tom in Arcadia, California. Tom writes, I'm interested in the effects of harmonics added by electronics into music. The theory goes that some odd harmonics are bad, evens are good. John Curl, who designs amps, we know John Curl very well, he's a good guy, without capacitors or inductors in critical parts of the amp so that he can avoid any kind of harmonics at all. But wouldn't this also take away the good, even harmonics and make music more neutral, somewhat boring and lifeless? In a perfect world, would the ideal amplifier add only even harmonics for that magical edge to music, maybe like the killer switcheroo? Thanks, Tom. Well, I think there's a little bit of misunderstanding going on, though much of what you say is certainly true and runs in with what is generally accepted. So let's talk about harmonics. What is a harmonic? A harmonic is an additional higher frequency added to a fundamental frequency. So if I have 1,000 cycles and it is a pure tone with no added harmonics, then there is only one tone, 1,000 cycles. Generally though, anytime you run it through a electronic circuit, you're going to add some degree of harmonics, and we think of those as harmonic distortion, and that's THD, total harmonic distortion. So if we have 1,000 cycles, then the first harmonic, the first one that we would think about, would be an even harmonic. It would be double the original fundamental. So if we have 1,000 cycles, then the first even harmonic, the first one that we would encounter, would be 2,000 cycles, double that. So the third harmonic, so you got, there's no first harmonic, so it's second harmonic, third harmonic, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, on down the line, would be 3 times that, so it'd be 3,000 cycles. Now, generally speaking, it is thought, and it's pretty accurate, that even harmonics sound more musical than odd harmonics. So different types of amplification equipment, such as tubes and transistors, have different harmonic characteristics in general. So tubes generally make more second-order harmonics, and transistors generally more third-order harmonics, which is why we hear people saying, oh, well, transistors are less musical than tubes because of the harmonic distortion business. But now let's look at it a little bit more closely. How much can we hear in harmonics? So the average modern amplifier, be it tube or solid state, generally has pretty low harmonics. Our products that we produce, our preamplifier and power amplifiers, are a combination vacuum tube and solid state output stage. And they generally have harmonics that are below 0.1%, usually below 100%. Somewhere, let's just call it 0.05. Let's just say that it's, and that would be total harmonic. And when we say total harmonic, we mean all the seconds, all the thirds, all the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and they diminish as they go up in frequency. So how much effect, how much impact does a 0.1% or 0.1% actually have on sound quality? And the answer is it's really not a lot. It's I don't think it's anything to lose sleep over. The bigger problems come into how we lower those harmonics, be it by feedback, by careful design, and you mentioned John. So John Curl, excellent designer, good friend. John like me and other designers, likes to keep capacitors and inductors out of the circuit. Doesn't have a whole lot to do with harmonics. It has to do with a number of other factors that we want to have something that's called direct coupled. So input to output, there's no blocking capacitors because each capacitor adds its own signature, which can be added harmonics. Oh, who's beeping on me? Oh, there you go. But there are other reasons that we want, just for sound quality. You know, caps don't sound so good in the circuit, and so I don't think that's the primary reason that John doesn't put capacitors or inductors into the circuit. Is not necessarily for harmonics. Let's circle all the way back to your question. If our goal is to lower harmonics, should we be selective? Should we allow the thirds to be lowered but let the seconds go through? Well, there's a whole school of thought people have that would agree with that. People have made over the years tube warming circuits where a vacuum tube is inserted between say a preamp and a power amplifier, and it's designed in such a way that it's kind of rich in its second order harmonics, and that can sound rich, but I would have to tell you that most designers who are really interested in purity and musicality would shy away from doing that. Now, we have done something similar to that. In our Stellar series amplifiers, we have they're Class D amplifiers, but they're very musical sounding. And one of the reasons they are is because our front end is a FET, an FET stage. And an FET, a field effect transistor, is very different than what we would normally think of as a transistor, which is a bipolar. And an FET more closely mimics a vacuum tube in its harmonic structure and the way that it handles voltage versus current. But that doesn't, and so by putting that FET stage in front of Stellar in the way that we did it, it gives a very musical, warm sound, but it doesn't add a whole bunch of harmonics, because if you look at its specs, it isn't like, you know, we've got 1% THD and it's all second order stuff. So it's not so much because of that, it's just the way it handles the signal and the way it sounds. All those devices, vacuum tubes, JFETs, MOSFETs, VFET, whatever you're referring to, when sound passes through them, they all sound different. They all have a sonic signature, and that's more important than actually the harmonics. So that's kind of a roundabout way of answering your question, and I hope I did okay for you. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.